Hello and welcome to Me, Myself, and Liberty. Today we have a very special by request guest on the show, Kayleen Balzer, and she is with a ministry called Beautiful Restoration, and so we will visit with her in just a minute. I want to read you something that I came across for discussion. If your main goal in life is to pursue truth, then you will inevitably end up with those who won't like you. The truth will cause you to be mocked, laughed at, and hated. Pursue the truth anyway. The truth, while it will divide you from those who reject it, will also unite you to those who accept it. The pursuit of truth will always be worth it. In Galatians 1:10, it says, "For do I pursue men or God, or do I seek to please men? For if I yet please men, I should not be a servant of Christ." Do you have enemies? Good. That means that you have stood up for something in your life. All work is good because you're trading life for either pay, your liberty, your freedom, or the work of the Lord. It's all noble because you're making a contribution to society. Now is the time, people, to be bold. I'll leave you with that and have you chew on that, and then we'll be back in just a minute with Kayleen Balzer from Beautiful Restoration.
And these are the days of Ezekiel, the dry bones becoming his flesh. And these are the days of your servant David, rebuilding a temple of praise. And these are the days of the harvest, for the fields are as wide in your world. And we are the laborers in your vineyard, declaring the word of the Lord. Behold, he comes, riding on the clouds, shining like the sun.
and welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. And I'm here with my very special guest, my second mom, Kayleen Balzer, with Beautiful Restoration. So, Kayleen, tell us a little bit about you. Tell us the background of Kayleen before the ministry.
Okay, so I am a mom of 5. I have three stepchildren, which are my children too, 2 biological children, 15 grandchildren. And so it is an amazing time at our house when we all get together. We lived in Enid my husband was born there, went to college there, and had never moved from there until we moved to Edmond 10 years ago, mainly because Enid had a housing boom and an oil and gas boom, and there were no other homes, and we sold our house and had to come to Edmond in order to have a home. And so we just felt like then it was a God thing, because we just went to work immediately in a church helping out, and a few years later, and our heart has always been for outreach and helping those that need a help and a hand up. A girl approached me and asked me to be her mentor. She was in the sex industry, and I said sure, and I'll be glad to mentor you all I can. I'm a preacher's kid.
Where'd you meet her?
At church.
At church.
She was really trying to turn her life around, and I said, I'm a preacher's kid. I've always been on the straight and narrow, so I don't know what I could do, but I could at least love you and actually show you a better way. So it ended up moving in with us, and so that's who I am. I really have a heart for ladies and a heart for people, and there's a whole bunch of us. And so I think if there's one thing that we have at Beautiful Restoration is there's a lot of people like me that have a heart for those that don't have it as good as we do. And we, if we
and it
have
doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter who you are and what background you come from. All of us have lived through something that we need restoration. From.
And that's what we call it, any kind of brokenness. It could be just because your children, you're having trouble with your children, your little ones. Maybe you're having trouble with teenagers. Maybe, a lady lost her husband, her husband died, or maybe they're going through a divorce, or there's always some brokenness because we live in a fallen world. And so we need a community around us. And I've always had that in my friends. And so it was just really cool that God said, you need to help this girl.
Well, good for her for reaching
out.
Absolutely.
I mean,
because so many don't. They try to battle it on their own. And there's so many that don't have family. They don't have family or friends or somebody that they can turn to. Community.
And so when she reached, and then she said, I need a meeting where I can bring my friends so they can get healed. So that started Beautiful Restoration. It was that simple. We didn't hear angels singing, and I didn't hear a God appointment. I just said yes.
So where was it in the beginning? I'm asking this like I don't know, even though I was there.
Well, it was in our home because we just, that was the least expensive place, not go to a meeting room or, and we didn't know what questions were going to be asked or what situations were going to come up. So we just said, let's just come to our home.
Right.
So we started in the TV room with 6 girls. I called Lisa, who was my best friend, and said, they want to do a little Bible study. You want to come help me? She said, sure. We had no clue that we were starting something that would still be going 7 years later. We have a property now, 16 acres property, 2 homes. The one at the bottom of the hill is our meeting home, and the one at the top is an event center. And that's what you began to use this year was the mansion. It's the old governor's mansion. So when we started as a Bible study, we just said yes. And then we grew and grew and grew and grew and grew until we outgrew our home. And we even moved into our bigger, living room, outgrew that, and had 125 women in our average size home in the trails. Those aren't known for huge living areas. And I mean, people were just almost sitting on top of each other. And thankfully it was before COVID, so we didn't have all that fear there. But we heard about this property 2 blocks from our home, and located on Danforth between Western and Santa Fe, and started going over there, and it was deserted, and we didn't know anything about it. We couldn't even really, and I was a paralegal for 25 years, so I know how to find out. How to find out things in real estate. But God, He hid it from us. It was almost impossible to find because it was listed as a meets and bounds. and one of them was in probate, and one of them was in foreclosure. And so they were over in the district courts under meets and bounds. And so it was really hard to find out who the owner was. But when it was God's timing, we found out.
That's awesome.
But we went over
How
there.
long did it take?
Oh, gosh, it was probably 6 or 8 months before we knew who owned it.
So this wasn't something that happened right away.
No.
Like you were led over there, and it was a journey. To acquire that property.
It was, and we didn't get in a hurry because we thought, well, at least we're here at the house where, we can kind of control it. And even when we were having that many women, we'd just say, I'm sorry, the chairs are full. There's standing room back in the utility room. And sometimes they would, and they'd peer around, to hear what was going on. And, we were just amazed that God was drawing, and it was just all women because we didn't have room for men. Yeah. And we barely got the women in there,
Right.
And so it just was such an incredible thing. But we just waited on God. We didn't get in ahead of him. And, when people say, well, you need to set a goal for your ministry or for your church or for your business, we didn't have that luxury. We were outrunning any goal that we would have ever made. It was just like we just said yes,
because it's not on your timing.
No,
it's
and it
on
wasn't.
God's.
No, and I never dreamed when we started that Bible study that it would be a full blown ministry.
Just see what saying yes to something can do. Just that one opportunity that you had when she approached you at church. See what just saying yes can do.
Just saying yes.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to dive a little deeper into what happened. How did she acquire the ministry past that point, and then what happened after that? So stay tuned.
Growing up, my dad once sat me down and said, Jackson, there's going to come a time when you have to fight for the things that you love. America has changed a lot since then. Today, just like you, I'm shocked at what I see. Open borders, censorship, mandates, lockdowns, and those in office only pour gasoline on the fire. They're dividing us by race, gender, religion, and class, as they've managed to turn the American dream into a nightmare. Our faith, family, and our freedoms are on the line. If we want to protect them for our children, then we must have the courage to fight for them now. Oklahomans share a legacy of courage. We have always overcome the odds because we're willing to fight for the things we love. Yet with America in crisis, some Republican leaders have failed us. Under pressure, they break their word, and they betray our trust and values. The truth is, you don't negotiate with evil, you fight it. My name is Jackson Lallmeyer. I'm a fourth-generation Oklahoman, a husband and a father of 5, a businessman and a pastor, as well as a conservative fighter running for the United States Senate. It's time for every Oklahoman to stand up and protect what we love. Protect our great American heritage, to put America first, to have free and fair elections. This is not just a campaign, but it's a movement to help save America, and together, we will. My name is Jackson Lallmeyer, and I pledge to be a courageous fighter in the U.S. Senate for Oklahoma values. Please join me.
Hello, and welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. And I'm still here with my very special guest, Kayleen Balzer, with Beautiful Restoration. And we are just going to dive right in. When we left off, we were talking about, okay, you have the mansion, which is what? The old governor's mansion.
Yes, Governor Edmondson from the 1960s.
Okay, so just pick up there and tell us from that point forward, like you were able to find out who the owner was. Take it from there.
Okay, so the first thing we did is we did, okay, so this property is secluded, thank goodness, because we kind of did like a Jericho march. And, and I think that had that been in a neighborhood where everybody would have seen it, they would have gone, who are those crazy people marching around that property? And the grass was yay high, and so we really couldn't get in the grass, and it had ticks and little vermin in it, so I wasn't about to get in the grass. And so we actually took the asphalt road, and we marched from the mansion down to the gatekeeper house and back up. We did that for 7 nights, and on the 7th night, we actually there were 144 of us that showed up to do that. We stood out in front of the mansion. Someone brought a shofar, and I don't even think I'd ever heard a shofar until that night. And they blew the shofar, and that night in Edmond, and I know everybody will think this is just coincidence, but that night in Edmond there was a 3.2 earthquake, and this was back in 2018.
I don't believe in coincidences.
I know, and right. I just know it was
but
God.
There's a lot of people who do,
most people would go, that's just, well, whatever. We have too many things that have lined up that let us know that God was just saying you're on the right path. So that week, actually, we found out who owned the property. And it was just like we had to be obedient to do something crazy as a Jericho march, hoping that no one saw us, and marching up and down. And so that was in June. So in June, then we found out who owned the property. So 1st of July, I sent them this letter, and this letter said, we are a nonprofit with no money. I mean, literally, we didn't have to take up offerings because we were in our home. Everybody brought in food. Sometimes somebody would bring in a package of toilet paper. We were just in our home. We didn't need any money. We didn't need any funds. Somebody had a need. We pulled it out of our pocket and gave it to them. We just didn't. We just didn't have money. I don't think we even had a bank account at that point. But we sent this crazy letter to the developers, and said, "Would you consider letting a nonprofit with no money?" Giving them a little time to raise the money. And to their credit, they stopped. They were fixing to tear down the mansion and the gatekeeper house and build 59 homes in there. So you can imagine a developer with 59 homes. These homes are going to be anywhere from 500 to 800,000. It was going to be,
so he's going to make a lot of money.
At millions. Even if you just think of a $500,000 home, 59 homes, that's $30 million. And so to give that up, but to his credit, he said, we'll give you 60 days to raise the money. We'll stop the dirt work. We'll stop the demolition of the mansion. Wow. We caught it 10 days. They had it already scheduled, had already paid the dirt workers and everything, 10 days before complete demolition. And so, just this timing part. So we began the process of raising money, and again, we had none. Our church had given us $10,000 about 2 weeks before that, because they said, we're recognizing you as a ministry. You're no longer a small group at our church. We want to help launch you. And I say, what church does that? They saw, I believe they saw that in us. They saw our heart. So they gave us that. So all we had was $10,000, and we just said, okay. Well, and I'll tell you where the kicker was. The 48 hours when they came back and said, we will give you a chance to raise the money. They said, but because we had offered them 5,000 of the 10, they said, we can't take your 5,000. We need 50,000, and that's reasonable escrow money for a property that's 1.3 million. That's what they asked us, and we're thinking 1.3 million. Well, it doesn't matter. We don't have 1.300. So you ask whatever you want. God's going to have to provide it anyway.
That's right.
And so they said, we need 50,000. So our first miracle, and where we knew it was no longer just foolishness, was that in 48 hours, just from our girls, the ones that had been broken, the ones that had been homeless, the ones that had been, lost their children, the ones that had lost their spouses, just from those women, we raised $50,000. In fact, we raised $67,000 in 48 hours. And I say all the time.
That alone is just a true testament to what, again, saying yes to just one
and let
task
him doing it,
and just letting God take it from there. It's amazing what doors will open up and what amazing things that will come from it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and those women, to anybody else, were just maybe broken women.
Exactly.
But because you poured into them,
Mm-hmm.
they were giving back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And see what we can do as a community.
That's right.
That's what's so awesome when we pull together.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's only so much we can do as one. But
That's
when we
right.
pull together, look what
That's
can
right.
happen.
Well, and you know, one of the most precious gifts that was given was a little girl that robbed her piggy bank, broke her piggy bank, and said, "Mom, I need Tara Place when I grow up." And she gave it to her, and it was like $8.14.
Oh, my
you know,
goodness.
oh my gosh, my heart. And I thought, for no other reason, we gotta make this work. You know, because the babies are even seeing the need. And
They watched.
They did, and we had single moms that gave $20. That was a huge sacrifice. One lady gave us $100, and I knew that she had that put back, because she's one of them that we helped get an apartment and helped get a car, and she was living from paycheck to paycheck. So it was a sacrifice like that, but then God rewarded all of them that did that, because now we have this property, and it started with that $50,000 in 48 hours. After that point, I no longer prayed, "God, if it be your will."
That's right. 'Cause
After
you
that
knew it
point, I
was.
had a miracle. And I said, okay, this is now ours. And Deuteronomy 6:11 became our verse, which is, "I'll give you well-furnished houses that you didn't build." There's 2 houses on the property. "I'll give you wells you didn't dig." There's 2 wells on the property. "And I'll give you trees you didn't plant." And there are over 250 trees on there.
Wow.
So that became our verse. That became our declaration even before we even owned it.
That's
And
so beautiful.
And so, you know, you find the Word of God and you stand on it.
That's right. That's right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a minute.
And I'm certain that these same people that voted for Biden the first time, they would never do that ever again, or anybody like him.
He had a 40-year track record of really not doing very much. It's surprising that so many people did vote for him, you know, even though we know that there may be some controversy around the actual election results. What do you think as far as Donald Trump? I mean, obviously, he's given these amazing speeches. We're going to see him at the rally on the ground with the Save America bus tour with Real America's Voice on Saturday in Florence, South Carolina. His speech will probably be a lot like the speech that he gave at CPAC, where he's really alluded to the fact that he's running. Just real quick, with about a minute left, I'd love to get your take on Donald Trump and what's facing him in 2024.
So I love Donald Trump. I actually endorsed him as a state legislator when he ran the first time and caught all kinds of grief over that. I endorsed him in the primary, but he was the right guy for this time, and he's still the right guy. There's no one else out there that I can think of that has the backbone, the intelligence, or the ability to get us back where we need to be. Donald Trump is that guy, and I'm hoping and praying that he says, you know what, I'm running again, because the people need a champion. They are upset. They know what's going on. They want to get behind a champion, and that champion right now is Donald Trump. So I hope he does run. I will support him 100%.
Oklahoma is my home. This is where I was born and raised. It was here where I was given a chance at life, being conceived after my mother was violated at the age of 16. This is where I received my education and learned with hard work, discipline, and courage anything was possible. But things have changed. This is not the Oklahoma I remember. Over the last several years, I've seen fear, chaos, and division tear this nation apart through the efforts of communists and the apathy of Republicans in name only, who are either incapable or unwilling to do whatever it takes to protect our God-given rights. Election fraud, open borders, riots, unvetted Afghan refugees, and 300,000 plus acres of land sold to Chinese nationals has made Oklahoma the hub for human trafficking, the indoctrination of our children in critical race theory, sexual immorality, and abortion on demand. And finally, the unconstitutional and illegal vaccine mandate, leaving hundreds of thousands of our legal and law-abiding citizens jobless. Enough is enough, and the political theater must stop. We must have a governor who's willing to lead legislators and Oklahomans to fight back against this tyranny and aggressively address these issues head on. As the next governor of the state of Oklahoma, I will, in the first 100 days, initiate a forensic audit with canvases to ensure election integrity, secure Oklahoma's borders, stop all state funding to school districts who train or teach CRT to faculty, staff, or students, and end all abortions. Oklahoma, let's put our faith back in God, believe that nothing is impossible, and make Oklahoma free again.
Hello, welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. I just want to take a quick minute to remind you not to forget to go like us on all of our platforms. We are on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, and don't forget patreon.com/OTU Media. So here we are back with Kayleen, and I want to ask you, first of all, well, who can join? How do they join? And secondly, what does your ministry focus on now? Where are you going?
Okay. Actually, anyone that is either in a stage of being broken, or if you have come through something and you want to help others. We have probably 50 mentors in our group. We meet every Thursday night, and that meeting is probably the most unusual meeting that I could ever tell you about. In it, we never have a script. It is just something that we come together and we do what God wants us to do. It might be music. It might be testimonies. We are based on the power of a testimony, which is exactly what you're doing here, finding out people's stories. And you're welcome. Anybody is welcome to come as long as they want to just come and receive. We don't offer a platform to anyone because we don't even want a platform. We just want to have community.
Right.
You will.
So men and women.
Men and women, and actually children too. If they are old enough to sit there and and to listen and not be destructive, you can bring your kiddos too. Our meeting house seats about 175, and we say if everybody shows up that is in our membership, we're going to probably have to go outside on our 16 acres, but God just seems to send the right people every week. We offer food beforehand. We ask everybody to chip in and pay for that. It's a wonderful, amazing, tasting good food that our foodies come and prepare.
You get time for fellowship.
Time for fellowship,
start,
yes.
Everybody meet each other. And,
yes.
And I've been there and I've seen, the children. It really is huge for them.
It is.
For even my own daughter, when she was going through some things, some health issues, we brought her in, and just everybody loved on her and prayed over her, laid hands on her, and that meant a lot to her.
Yes.
And she came through that. I truly believe in the power of prayer.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And where two or more are gathered, there He is with them. And so I know that had a huge impact on her.
Great. Well, I remember her coming, and I remember her running up and hugging. And so we have adults there that love on the kiddos, and then husbands are welcome to come too, because they could come see what they're. When we were first started, we didn't have room for anybody except just the women.
Right.
Now we feel like we have. We also have a men's ministry that meets, and we have a young ladies. It's called Monarchs, and we have a young men, and it's called Warriors. And so they meet on different times of the night. And so how you can join is you can find us on our website, which is beautifulrestoration.org, and there's a spot there that says contact us, and just fill that out. That sends an email to us, and then we want to know you're a real person. We want to know who recommended you, so you can just put Kayleen on your podcast, and just put it on there, and then that we will send you an email that says this is how you can sign up. So we ask a little bit of you. It's not just as simple as clicking on here and knowing. We want to know that you're serious about community. You're serious about coming for healing or coming for helping other people. So that's the best way, is beautifulrestoration.org. And then on the contact, just fill that contact out. We want to know who you are. Yeah, we want to know how you found out about us and all of that type of thing. But the meetings, going back to the meetings, one thing that I might stress to you is you will feel the love of God. And it's not just pure human love. We have practiced developing a love walk that is like no other. And you absolutely sense it when you come
Right,
in.
you do.
And then one other thing we do at 6:00, come early, and this fits right in with your program. We actually declare and pray over our country.
Yes, we do.
And we believe we have an obligation as Americans that we don't sit back and just criticize and
That's
be
right.
critical, that we are supposed to pray, we're supposed to support, we're supposed to put godly people in office.
That's right.
That will do what the scriptures say, because that is exactly, that's our pattern. You know,
And
to
not
word
just
that.
pray, but do. Step
Do.
out in faith.
Absolutely.
You know, that's what God operates on is faith. And you can pray and you can pray, but He
That's
wants to
right.
see you take action.
Yes.
You know, faith without works is dead.
Absolutely.
And so that I love that you encourage that.
Yes.
And that is something that I encourage as well. And why I love coming to Beautiful Restoration.
Yes. And we pledge allegiance to the flag, and we are full supporters of our country. We believe that we will have a nation, one nation under God. We will continue to have that, and we're going to do our part to pray. You know, the word says, if my people, it doesn't say if the people that don't believe in God, it says if my people will pray. And
Humble
so that's what we do.
themselves.
Yes, and seek my face.
That's right.
Then I will hear from heaven, and I will heal their land.
That is right.
Yeah.
I believe that 100%.
Yes.
So what is your goal for the ministry moving forward?
Well, we, you would think it would be enough for two women to launch this ministry, and you'd think it enough that we had this property at $1.3 million, and we raised the money for that. You'd think that we could just sit down and be content, but no. God has given us a vision for tiny homes because we have dealt with women that are broken and dysfunctional, and we were having to send them back into places, maybe shelters or someplace where they really were not getting the support they needed. And so we just felt like God said, you need a place here where you can mentor them right on location.
Right.
You can teach them, how to do a resume, get them jobs, find them a car, or have somebody that maybe can take them, and begin to teach them the tenets of faith that we operate in. We operate in what we call roots and fruit, and that's inner healing. Get this person healed here, then they will change.
That's right.
And then the second thing is we believe that they need to know their authority in the Word of God. We call it the authority of the believer. We believe in the help that the Holy Spirit brings. We believe in divine healing, both of our emotionally, mentally, our physical body, and then we also believe about the prophetic. And so that's kind of our tenets of faith. We also teach on identity, word power, all of these things. If we can get someone in a beautiful little tiny home where we can speak truth to them and we can surround them with community, we believe it'll bring real change. So we want to build 20 tiny homes. We already are zoned for it, believe it or not. Right in the heart of Edmond, they're going to let us build these pretty little tiny homes.
Awesome.
And then right on Danforth, we have been zoned to build a coffee shop.
Oh, wow. Well, we're going to take a break.
Okay,
And when we
I
come
didn't know you
back,
knew
I
that
didn't even
one.
know about
I
that
didn't
one.
think you
So
did.
we're going to definitely dive into that. But stay with us. We'll be right back.
My name is General Mike Flint, and I strongly, wholeheartedly endorse John Bennett to be the next representative from District 2 for the great state of Oklahoma. John is a fighter, he is a leader, he's exactly what we need.
General Flynn, thank you. You're a true friend and a patriot. My name is John Bennett, and I approve this message. Our republic is under attack, and we have to stand and fight for righteousness in our republic today, just like our founding fathers did. You know, in the late 1700s, Dr. Benjamin Franklin was walking out of Independence Hall after the Constitutional Convention. When he walked outside, a citizen ran up to him. She says, "Dr. Franklin, what have you done for us?" And he looked at her and told her, "We've given you a republic if you can keep it." I can't help but think we're in a similar situation today. We have a republic if we can keep it. Business as usual is done. We have to take the gloves off, and we've got to stand and fight for our republic, because if we don't stand and fight for our republic today, we won't have any freedoms to fight for tomorrow.
Another one drives a truck.
Visit cdluniversity.org.
At CDL University, and another success, and another success. Another one drives a truck. Hey, gonna help you too. Another one drives a
Dear Miller, CDL University. For some of you, it's already too late. You're standing over in a dirt field, waiting in line to back a truck, and it's been 3 weeks now. If you're going to do this, do it right. Come to CDL University. Get your CDL.
Hello, and welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. I'm still here with my fantastic guest, Kayleen Balzer with Beautiful Restoration. And I want to remind all of you to go, not to forget to go like us on all of our platforms. We are on Facebook, we are on Rumble, we are on YouTube, we are on patreon.com/OTU Media. And so go and like us and share us everywhere. Kayleen, before we went to break, you were saying something about a coffee shop, which I want to get to. But before that,
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about those tiny homes, because I know you had some pushback on that. So tell me, how did that get worked out?
Well, we were really shocked that people didn't want tiny homes in their neighborhood. And of course, I guess I didn't know the negative of some of them that have been built. We just thought that everyone would want to help someone. But we're right in the middle of Rushbrook and Stonebriar, and then the Trails, which is where I live. So that's my neighborhood. But there were those that were saying we don't want our property values diminished. Well, I don't either. I have a home there too, and I think they were thinking maybe mobile homes being pulled in there, or
Right.
little shanties, or brightly colored garish little wooden buildings.
Your mind just starts to
It
go
does,
places.
and you
Yeah.
see all of those. But I will tell you, we've already gotten plans drawn up. They're 299 or 300 square feet, and they're brick and stone, and also mortar, or I forget the other word for it. But they will be beautiful. They'll be roofed. They will look like little homes, not
How many
RVs.
of them?
20.
20,
So we'll
okay.
build 10, and we'll operate that for a couple of years, and then we will build 10 more. And so our neighbors, of course, were very upset and came to us, and our engineer met with them and said, this is what we're planning. They'll be nestled in the trees. You probably will not even see them unless you're on the property. But they, there was just a lot of, not in my backyard type of thing.
Right.
And so, that we talked, and we told them, they told us, and
they're probably thinking, it's a ministry. These could be troubled people.
Yes,
What if
and
we're
they
going
were
to have
thinking,
break-ins? No
yes,
telling where their mind was
yes,
going.
sex offenders and all
Right.
of that, and that was not our intention. Our intention, and it still isn't, our intention is to give someone a hand up for 30 to 60 to 90 days.
Right, and that was going to be my next question. You know,
Yes.
what is the time
It's
frame?
temporary housing, and
Okay.
it would be the very same people like Cherie that I brought into my home. It would be people like that. It would be people that I would trust in my own home, that I wouldn't open my home
that
for.
you vetted to a sense, and you know that
And we
you know
what
where they're going.
Yes, and they just need a little hand up, because if you didn't have to pay rent for 3 months or utilities for 3 months, and you got a good job, that
Right.
gives you a nest egg.
Sometimes that's just what we need.
What you need, just that
Some
little
people need
bit of
that.
yes.
I mean, I spoke about that on my first show here about myself. I was a teen mom, and what really kind of woke me up to, okay, wait a minute, what are you doing here with your life, was the day that I was evicted and I had my car repossessed in the same day, and I'm sitting on a curb with a baby, and I'm going, what in the world are you doing here with your life?
Yes.
Sometimes we need, and it was just, my dad, thankfully I had a parent that was willing at that time to just say, okay, I'm going to give you a chance. I'll give you 6 months. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to help you out. And sometimes that's just what someone needs. It's just a little bit of,
you would have been a perfect,
someone to reach down and pull them up
yes.
and give them a little helping hand.
You would have been a perfect candidate for that. I'm so glad to know your story. I didn't know that either. And then the other thing we wanted zoned was a coffee shop, because our property has a lot of highway frontage there on Danforth. We're just down from S&B Burgers and then Walmart at Santa Fe and Danforth, just to give you an idea. And so that frontage just seemed perfect for something. And what better than a coffee shop where you could have a mentor of the day that would be there if anybody wanted to stop and have prayer. It's a retail. It will be a retail establishment. It'll be open to the public. We'll have a drive-through. It'll look like a little Starbucks that'll be there. It'll be real pretty and nice. And outdoor, we'll do talent night and have people come and play, and so we can develop talent there too. But it'll be a place if you wanted to just come and know that it is a godly environment and there's someone there that would pray for you. How cool is that?
That's fantastic, because I was just sitting here thinking as you were saying that many of these people have so much potential.
Yes.
And they may have, we were all given a gift. The Bible tells us that all of us were given at least one, some of us more. And so this, Beautiful Restoration already helps pull that out of people. Yes. What is it that is your talent, or what is it that is your gift? And but some of them may have talents that they just need. That is how they express themselves. Yes. That is such a wonderful thing to open that up and just showcase them.
Yes.
And let them have their moment.
Absolutely. And a little platform. We may not have it at BR, but we can at the coffee shop. Yeah.
Right.
And who knows? It may be the next Carrie Underwood.
You never know.
You never know.
You don't.
Who knows what God has got in store? But we want to open that up. And then the ladies and children that are in the tiny homes, we want to have a place for them to be employed. So say if we have a lady that comes in, she doesn't have a job, we can employ her for 30 days. And she could work in the coffee shop. We can give her a talent of becoming, training to be a barista, waiting on people or whatever, and teach her a skill that she can go someplace.
How to run,
exactly.
All the little things that you may need to know, because they, it's really tough. You may not have any skills.
That's right.
In the workforce, and so that's a wonderful idea.
Personal, people skills as well. And then she gets the money from doing that. We hire her, and so it is a revenue stream for our ministry. But it also helps them, and it wouldn't have to be just the ones that are in the tiny homes. Although it'll be right there in that same location, it could be any of our girls that come through BR that just need a job for a little bit. Maybe it's not for them forever, but confidence.
Maybe they're struggling in an area and they just need, a little bit of an extra income.
Yes.
Some people need an extra stream of income. Maybe they just lost their job.
Yes.
Well, come work here until you can find one.
Yes.
Something like that.
It could be a second job. If you give somebody $250 a month extra, they could probably have a car payment of a small car.
Right.
Or have gas money or whatever that they needed. So that's our goal, our ultimate goal. So we believe that this year we have just really prayed and just asked God what He would have us to set for a goal. We really believe this year of 22 that we will raise $2.2 million, and that will do the tiny homes. It will pay off our existing debt. Because if we didn't have a payment on this property to make, that money could be put back into rehab of people and to doing things more for people. So we want to retire our current debt, and then we want to build the coffee shop. And so we believe that, and we have a goal of about $10 million over the next 5 years to completely upgrade, update the campus, put in roads, have a volunteer little oil change for our single women. They could bring their cars, and our men in the ministry. Well, it won't be open to the public.
Plug them in and give them something how they can give back,
and they'll just get their oil changed and spark plugs if they even have that kind of thing anymore. But just to do just to do a little bit of for our single moms,
right?
That don't have anybody to do that. We'd like to have eventually a production company that will allow us to print and our products. So
we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll come back and wrap it up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. So we were talking a little bit about how, where you're going now. And you're going to be building the little tiny homes. You're going to have the coffee shop and some things for the men to do. So finish up telling us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, we have lots of volunteer opportunities. If anybody would like to come and volunteer for any reason, even if you don't feel like you want to necessarily minister to people, we have 16 acres that needs to be mowed like every week.
Right.
We are still in the process of restoration of both of the buildings, and they're beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous and stunning. But there are other things that we want to do there. The mansion is actually a wedding venue, and so we're taking wedding dates for later on in the summer. And I think if I wanted to say anything to anyone, it would be about hope. Don't feel like that you have to have this huge ministry in order to do your calling. Take the thing that you're the best at, whether it be, cleaning house or taking care of children or whatever you feel your anointing is. You take that and you just make it the best it can be.
That's right.
And then you say, now, God, what can I do for your kingdom? Because it's not all about us. In fact, there is no place in the Bible that even talks about self-care.
That's right.
There's no place that talks about, self-confidence.
There's a lot of places and people who talk about, you got to take care of yourself before you can take care of others.
Yes, and that is true.
To some extent,
yes,
it is. That's why we have to, like you were saying, we have to get ourselves right inside.
Yes.
But that self-care doesn't necessarily mean you need to have your hair done and your nails done and, have the best outfit.
And have the perfect home to host people.
The perfect home, the fancy car, it doesn't mean that.
Because the scripture says the exact opposite.
That's right.
It says deny yourself, lay it down. It's not about you, it's about others. And I have lived my life the last 7 years, absolutely laying it down for others. I cannot tell you how much happiness, how much fulfillment that brings. So if you are not happy or fulfilled or you don't feel like you know what your purpose in life is, He's got it for you, but it does mean laying down your life and saying whatever. And you were just telling me about, an epiphany in your moment when you just said, whatever you want me to do. And then things began to open up.
That's right.
And you're busy and you're excited and you're motivated and you're ready to go. And that's because you're fulfilling the purpose you're supposed to have. And so when that hope arises, then you do what you need to do. And that was one of the things that I did. It was, I felt like he was restoring dreams and hopes and vision every Thursday night to someone that was coming. And they may have felt like, they were a nobody, but before they left there, they have this idea, what if I did this in a homeless camp? Or what if I just took sandwiches to the corner? Or what if I just did this? And so
people think it has to be something grand. It doesn't have to be. I mean, your ministry could be in your home with your children. In fact, I believe, and most people know this about me, that has to be your number one ministry if you have children, is your children. Yes. Because it does start in the home. It starts with them. Yes. How are we ever going to have a better, what I'm doing here with this, like fighting for liberty and freedom. How are we ever going to have that if we don't train up our children?
It starts in the home.
It starts in the home.
And that's one reason why we meet in a home. We want everybody to feel like that they can take the same thing home. But I do believe that God is restoring dreams, and He is changing that whole thing of us being so self-absorbed, and He's saying, come on, it's time for you to jump in here and let me give you a dream, let me give you a plan. And we have a place to do that, a beautiful restoration. If you have a dream, come let us join arms with you. Let's link arms. Let's figure out what it is. And we raise up what we call BR groups all over the place. And that's when you have a vision to, say, single moms. You have a vision. I know we've got people in Perry and Stillwater and Enid and Durant and all over the state that can't come every Thursday night to BR in Edmond, so they start their own group. And now and we train them how to do it, and we love on them, and we tell them what the whole vision is
Just
to help
others.
Totally free. None of it costs a thing. Doesn't cost anything to be
but it's worth a lot.
Someone. It's priceless.
It's priceless. It's priceless. It's worth a lot.
It
doesn't cost a lot, but it's worth a lot. Because like we were talking about before, some people don't have anyone. They just don't have anyone they can turn to.
Yes.
And so it's good to know that there is a resource out there for you, and people who there's somebody there at BR who I promise you has been through what you've been through.
Guaranteed.
And they'll know exactly what your needs are and how to love on you and how to get you, from where you are to where you want to be. If it's not Kayleen, she'll plug you in with someone there that
it's rarely
can
me.
do it.
It's rarely me. It really is our people, and they're fulfilling their callings, and it's so cool. I mean, we have both, and you don't know who's who. We'll have a homeless person sitting right by an attorney, and then another sitting right by.
This is not.
There's no classification.
There's no class here.
No.
There's no class division or anything. Nobody knows who anyone is.
Yeah.
We're all equal.
That's exactly right.
And we are anyway in God's eyes.
Yeah, and it's not even about Lisa and I. It is about the kingdom of God. And if it points to us, or if it points to a group called Beautiful Restoration, that's not even the purpose. The purpose is, let's get this thing done. Let's get together as the body of Christ and as believers that believe in righteousness, and we believe in what God is wanting to do in our nation. Let's come together. Forget your churches. I mean, no, don't forget your churches.
Yeah.
But forget,
go to church.
Yeah, go to church, please. And we're not a church. I'm going to say that too.
Right.
We have a church designation on our property, but we support the local church. I'm a preacher's kid, so I'm absolutely going to support the local church. We're very active in our church. We're there every single time that we possibly can be. But we say we can be a parachurch. We can come alongside
we can be the community.
Local church.
We can be the hand of God.
Yes. So we've got 12 to 15 churches represented, denominations represented.
That's
Just
awesome.
come on.
That's awesome.
Come on.
Well, okay, this has been amazing, and I've loved having you here on the show. It is a huge blessing to me. I know it's going to bless somebody out there. So tell us where. Tell the audience, where can they find you? How can they get a hold of you other than just, you already mentioned the website, but tell them a little bit of all the platforms that you're on.
Okay, so we're basically on Facebook. I believe we're on Instagram. To be honest, that's not my platform of choice, so go look. But I believe it's beautiful_restoration. The website is Beautiful Restoration Inc. The Facebook page says Beautiful Restoration Inc. We also have another Facebook page called The Mansion at Terra Place, and that's where you can see all of the shots of the beautiful mansion that you've had some of your events in. And then we also have our website, which is beautifulrestoration, all one word, .org. And I'll give you my personal email address. It's Kaylene, Kaylene, at beautifulrestoration.org. And you just tell me who you are and how we can plug you in, and if you would like to have our newsletter. Our newsletter goes out every Monday night, and it tells what we're going to do on Thursday night. And we'll be glad to add you to that so you'll know where the meetings are and what's going on.
That's awesome. Thank you, Kayleen, so much
Thank
again
you
for being
having
here.
me. This is awesome.
And I really appreciate it. And thank you to all of you who are watching. Don't forget, I'm going to tell you once again where you can find us. You can find us on our Facebook page. You can find at Me, Myself, and Liberty, YouTube, Rumble, BitChute. You can also find us on patreon.com/OTU Media. And thanks again. We'll see you next time.
We have up is down, left is right, bad is good, confusion. And God is not the author of confusion.
God wants to bless America, but it starts with His people first, repenting and the ending of sin.
We have been in ministry the last 20 years. It was in prayer that the Lord began to convict me to run for office. And so I'm excited about Dr. Sherwood stepping up to the plate.
This is a man after God's own heart, who will not compromise with the devil.
He's bold, he's courageous.
I'm Nick Vujicic.
Warren Hamilton.
I'm Jake Merrick.
And I endorse
enthusiastically
Dr. Mark Sherwood
as governor of Oklahoma.
The ending of slavery happened with total abolishing of it. We must see this as well for abortion. It's America's Holocaust.
We still have abortions in Oklahoma. How can you be pro-life and have one abortion? Why not stop it right now? And I make a commitment right now that I'm going to do everything I can to completely abolish abortion in the state of Oklahoma within the first 30 days of office.
Vaccine mandates that are being rolled out right now are entirely unconstitutional and unbiblical. Every state that's a member of these United States, that's a member of our union, said we'll abide by the Constitution. That's why we don't tinker with it too much.
So I believe the word mandate doesn't equate to law. I am a big believer in the 10th Amendment, and that means state sovereignty. I would propose that every single business owner in Oklahoma that's affected by that ridiculous mandate push back and say no, because they don't own you. The federal government does not own you. We need to own that amendment, understand what it is, and not be afraid to push back.
We have to understand where critical race theory came from. Obviously, it comes from the Marxist handbook. And if we preach this and promote this, we end up a Marxist nation. It is not social justice. It is not anti-racism. It's actually racism in its purest form. The very thing Martin Luther King Jr. talked about, we're not going to allow this to be taught where we judge by the color of our skin.
There's one race. It's called the human race. I'm not going to apologize for being white. I'm not even white. I don't even know what I am. Kids in school need to be taught how to live life. Right now, we're teaching them theories about how to hate. That's not education, that's brainwashing. We will not do that under my administration. We will fine every school that does that, and if they don't like it, they can take their education and find another state that will accept that nonsense. People all need to be healed. Our state needs to be healed, our land needs to be healed, the economy needs to be healed, and our confidence needs to be healed. Our hope needs to be restored. God has gifted us as healers. We know that we're called to not just heal people individually like we do, but we know now we're called to heal a group of people called the state of Oklahoma. My name is Mark Sherwood, and I'm running for governor of the state of Oklahoma.
And welcome back to Me, Myself, and Liberty. I just want to thank you for joining us this time and remind you where you can find us. You can find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, and also at patreon.com/OTU Media. And next week we will have Jackson Lawmeyer for U.S. Senate, who is running against, we'll say his name, Langford. I usually don't like to say that name, but we will have Jackson on the show, and so we're very excited about having him here and talking about what it is that he foresees, what's important to him once he gets in office. And so we will see you next time here at Me, Myself, and Liberty.